And President Biden is heading to his Delaware beach house tonight before visiting Florida tomorrow to survey the damage from Hurricane Idalia. The president made a surprise visit to FEMA headquarters yesterday, shutting down climate change skeptics.
There's still some deniers out there in terms of whether or not climate change has anything to do with any of this. And we're going to need a whole hell of a lot more money to deal with emergency appropriations, to deal with all you're taking care of.
Meantime, Biden has claimed politics have not played a factor in his discussions on aid for Governor Ron DeSantis' state, and it is possible the two will meet during Biden's visit. The president is set to return to his beach home for the rest of the holiday weekend. Greg.
Actually, the president has really been forced to defend his administration's
Am I start coming in now?
to the hurricane and the Maui wildfires. Here's what he's saying.
How can we not respond? My God, how can we not respond to these needs? And so I'm confident, even though there's a lot of talk from some of our friends up in the Hill about the cost, we got to do it. This is the United States of America.
But remember when the president also said he'd visit East Palestine after the train derailment created an environmental disaster? That was 183 days ago, and he still hasn't stepped foot in the town. East Palestine, Ohio resident Rick Chai joins us now. Rick, good morning. Thank you for getting up early on this Friday, but we wanted to check in with the folks like yourself on the ground in the situation there. But let me start with, if you could give President Biden a grade on his response to natural disasters like the one there in East Palestine, what grade would you give him?
Good question. It's hard to give somebody a grade on a job they didn't even start. He hasn't been here, so it's hard to give him a grade.
And if you look at sort of his response to not only East Palestine or the lack thereof, but also with the wildfires and now Hurricane Idalia, how do you assess his leadership on this?
Either he's being lied to about our town, or he doesn't know what's going on here. Our waterways are still horribly contaminated. I don't have hope anymore. I just think we are forgotten. There's chemicals all through our creek beds, the banks and the soil. You just walk into the creek or poke into the bank and chemicals just ooze out. There was just a recent fish kill about 2 weeks ago as well, when they knocked a bridge down to replace a little bridge in the park. A lot of chemicals released, and we have that all on film, and all the fish and wildlife and crayfish died as a result of knocking that bridge down.
So that's a significant statement you're saying there. So the situation just 2 days ago, a fish kill, what is the contamination status? Like, explain.
That was 2 weeks ago. I've been filming.
What the situation is on the ground right now.
That was 2 weeks ago. I've been filming in the creeks for 6 months, either daily or 2 to 3 times a week. Not much has changed here. Everything is still highly contaminated here. I don't know what's going on in terms of the response.
And Rick, are you seeing in terms of response, are you seeing federal officials regularly there working on things? Are you seeing them engaged in the contamination you're seeing?
Very quickly, one example, when they knocked the bridge down to replace the bridge, I knew they were going to release chemicals because I was underneath the bridge the day before, hitting the soil, and chemicals were just oozing out. When they knocked the bridge down, there was such a massive release of chemicals, and I filmed it. The EPA denied they saw any chemicals in our local paper. I held the paper the next day as I was filming, walking through the creek as chemicals and dead fish are at my feet. So I'm not sure if the government agencies are lying to us and probably the president. I'm not sure. But there's been no federal help from the president on any kind of cleanup or assistance to residents who may want to leave this place.
Well, there's a cleanup hearing set for September 22nd, in just 21 days in East Palestine. What do you want the people at the hearing to know?
I don't know anything about this hearing. I'd love to be there. I'd love to show them my videos. I'd like him to take whoever's doing this hearing right down to the creek and show them. I want people to know, people across the world, that Maybe because we're such a small town, we're easy not to have the limelight, and we don't get a lot of voice on media. And thank you, Fox, for having us. But it's still very bad here, and they're kind of getting away with it. And if anybody, East Palestine Off the Rails, our Facebook group, if you want to see some of the news here.
All right, Rick Chai, thank you for speaking out. We will continue to follow this and get that information to you as well on the hearing we understand is set for September 22nd. Rick, have a good weekend.
Thank you for having me.